Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie Foerst. Welcome to Automation Hour.
Right. Just want to make sure. Okay. All right. So this is our 55th Automation Hour and the last one for 2018. So if you're joining us for the first time, all lines are muted, and we're going to post the questions to the Salesforce Automation Hour Trailblazer community, and we'll be checking that throughout the session. So if you have questions for Stephanie based on her presentation or a process automation, a general process automation, then you can post that out on the community. And we also have our website, automationhour.com, as well. So for our upcoming sessions, we have a special session scheduled for the 4th to start us off in the year, and that will be with Shannon Hale. She is the new Salesforce Director, Product Manager for Flow. So she will be showing off the new Flow Builder to us. So definitely register for that. That's going to be a really exciting session. And then we have several other sessions booked out for the beginning of 2019, but we're still booking for the rest of the year. So if you do have a process automation solution that you would like to share with the ecosystem, message us and we'll get you on Automation Hour. And a special shout out to our sponsor, Concrete.io, for continuing to bring this to the community for free. And here's your co-host, David, myself, and Rakesh. And with that, we are excited to have Stephanie on. She is a fellow MVP, and she will be wrapping us up for the rest of the year. So let me hand over control to Stephanie.
All right. Good. All right. Okay. Yeah, so I'm Stephanie Foerst. I am the Salesforce team lead and senior admin at Green Sky. We're a financial services company based out of Atlanta. We help home improvement, healthcare, and retail providers provide loans to their customers. Salesforce MVP, my first year brought on board was spring 16. In Atlanta, I'm the co-leader for the Salesforce Women in Tech group, and just I'm wrapping up helping co-lead the Pardot group here as well. Also on the Southeast Streaming Committee board, we do have our call for presentations open if you go to our website, and also looking for sponsors too. Presented at a few places around the world. That's kind of cool to say because I was at London's Calling earlier this year where I did a session on Marketing Cloud and Pardot with Chris Zullo, another MVP. Yep, 6-time certified, awesome admin golden hoodie winner as well. And you can find me on Twitter if you can spell my last name properly. It's always a hard one. So today we're going to walk through a business scenario inspired by a project that I worked on this year. In it, we'll go through the initial design that I came up with, the challenge that I received, the end design, and then we'll go through the end results and step through the flow together. So this is a totally made up scenario, like I said, inspired by something I worked on this year. So we're a company that offers a loyalty program to our accounts. And when an account changes levels, so like bronze to silver, silver to gold, we need to turn on or off certain rewards. We need to track when those rewards were turned on and off. But additionally, your account managers can choose to give extra rewards on top of what they get automatically assigned at each level. Rewards can be deactivated, but only those that an account manager has given. So if they have been given a reward based on their loyalty tier, you can't turn it off. But if an account manager was like, hey, I want to give this thing a special extra thing to this company, you can turn it off at any point in time if it's not part of the tier. So it's a lot of moving pieces, and having the things automatically turned on, but then also being able to turn on more makes it puts a little complexity into it. So this is, kind of the data structure of the rewards. So we'll start off with 3 levels, silver, gold, and platinum, and start off with 4 rewards: a sticker, a silver astro, a gold astro, platinum astro. And so you can see like everybody gets a sticker as soon as they hit a tier in the loyalty program. And only silvers get silver astros, golds get gold astros, and platinums get platinum astro. So my initial design, our thought process was like, yeah, I can create a pick list on the account with the loyalty, called loyalty program tier. It will have silver, gold, and platinum. And there will be a rewards object related to the account. And then a process builder that will create and update the related records based on the loyalty tier, program tier field changing. And then people can just go and manually create new records as well if they need to. So this is a little bit of an example of what the initial schema would have looked like. We have the pick list field on the account over here, and then we have the reward object. You can see it relates to the account. It has a number, it has a status, so yes or no. And then here's what the process builder could have looked like. Oh, so they're now silver. Okay, we'll create this. They're gold. We'll create these 2 new things. The product team came back to me, as well as my database team came back to me and said, yeah, but we might need to add more tiers and additional rewards, and we don't want you having to update that automation every time. Because based on the original design concept, if we added in, say, a cloudy, we would have to go in and modify the process builder and add in more records to create. If they added in another tier, not only would you have to go to the pick list on the account, but you would also have to open up process builder again and say, okay, what are the records that they're supposed to automatically get? Let me go through and create those. So they're like, isn't there a way that you can build it out and we can just put data in tables, and it will just pick it up, and it will just start off like if we add in the cloudy reward, everybody who switches tiers in the future, they'll automatically, get cloudy included. So I was like, that's a really good question. I bet I can do it. And was lucky I was able to work with my database team because they were going to replicate some of the structures outside of Salesforce. And we worked together to come up with a different structure for the whole thing in design. So what we ended up with was we kept the field on the account, loyalty program tier, kept the rewards object that's related to the account. But then we had 3 additional tables. So we had reward benefits. So these are the benefits that will be given out. So it's the sticker, it's silver astro, gold astro, platinum astro, cloudy if it gets added back in. You have reward tier. So these are the tiers available: silver, gold, platinum, and it would match the same values that are in the loyalty program tier field on the account. They accepted that because they don't want to learn like the metadata API or anything, that if they added another tier, once it was ready for use, we'd still have to add the value into the account pick list. But that's one really simple minor change that everybody accepted and was okay with. And then we had one more, and with tier benefit, it was a junction object between reward benefit and reward tier. So you could go in and say, okay, at this tier, you're going to get this reward. It's going to be yes. It's going to be no. And building it out, once again, I decided to build it out using custom metadata types, which we'll touch on what those are shortly in a moment. And then I ended up with 2 flows. So one is automatically launched by a process builder based on the account field, field loyalty program tier changing. And that will go out and say, okay, which ones do I need to create based on what's already been automatically assigned, what's been manually assigned, and goes off and does that. And then there's a second flow that is launched by a button, because we are still in Classic, to manually create records. And with that, I was able to use one of the awesome Lightning components that's out on the unofficial Flow component website, the data table one. So I'll demo it, but basically on the screen in Classic, it looks like Lightning, but they get to go through and they get to select records and say, I want to give these additional rewards to this awesome account. So as I mentioned in this build out, I've used Custom Metadata Types. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are app configuration records. They're basically just object tables that contain data to using your configuration. Your business won't need to interact with these records, like you wouldn't be pulling reports on them, but they'll dictate how they can act with other records, because you can use them in things like validation rules and flows in code, saying, okay, when these things meet this value, or I just want to pull this data out of this table, this thing will happen. A really simple way to use custom metadata is we have a need to have MSA, so Metropolitan Statistical Area, on our account, and it's based on zip code. So nobody ever needs to pull a report or really do anything with the 40,000 records that are our MSAs and zip codes. So you put that all into a custom metadata table, and you can look up to that and pull out, okay, well, this account just had their zip code changed to 30324. So let me go look up, oh, this is the Atlanta metropolitan area, and so populate that field on the account. So why did I decide to use them? Because they're cool. I love that you can move the records for metadata in chain sets and packages. So you're not having to, build out all the data in your sandbox to test it, maybe export it and import it back into your production or whatever sandbox you're moving in to test to next. You can just package them up and move them along. So it's really awesome. And yes, there's a Trailhead module out there about them if you want to get more information. So I would say that when I was building this out, this was really like first big use of custom metadata types for me, and I've enjoyed it, but it was a little challenging, and we'll talk about that towards the end. So this is the end schema that I've ended up with. So you can see it on the account. We got the loyalty programs here. This relates to the reward. We have the reward number, the status of the reward, notes, names, etc. And then down here in blue are the custom metadata types that I built out. So we have the reward type, and it goes into the label name field over in reward benefits, and reward tier is your tier silver, gold, platinum over here. And then this is where you have the records relating all of them together. So now I'm going to step through what happens. So we'll demo it first, and then I'm going to go into the flow itself. Zoom in a little bit. We'll see the University of Georgia has not met anything on the loyalty program tier yet. They have no rewards created down here. So we are going to set them at the silver level. We'll save it. And we'll come down here and we'll see the reward numbers are created. And unfortunately, my dev org is gacking out anytime I try to edit or create an account page. So I couldn't modify this relay of the list to give me some extra information. It's been really fun. So you can see that it created the sticker reward for them and the silver Astro reward for them. Now we'll go back, and University of Georgia has done a lot of awesome work with us. So we're going to bump them up to the gold tier. So now we'll see that we have 3 reward records. We'll open them all back up again. So the sticker is still turned on because that's turned on for everybody once they've hit a tier in the loyalty program. The silver Astro is now set to no because they only got that at silver level, and gold Astro is now yes. And you know what, actually UGA is really cool and silver is one of their colors. So we're going to go in and we're going to set the status to yes. And so now we have Silver Astro set to yes when Silver Astro should only be yes at one level, which is silver. But we're going to go back and bump up UGA to platinum. And so we'll see that Silver Astro is still yes, even though it's not one of the rewards for the platinum level. We've kept it yes because it was manually set. And you want to get really fancy, I manually check that checkbox, but you can actually build out a Visualforce page to automatically check it if they're going to do it on just the page, and it works a lot better. But then you'll see that they'll also have Platinum Astro available to them as well, and they'll still have the sticker and gold. So as I said, so that's built off a flow that's launched by this process builder. It's just super simple. The loyalty program tier has changed, and it calls the flow, passes the account ID and the tier level that it is. All right, let's see. I have a small laptop screen. Got to scroll over. So this is the flow that automatically creates records. The first thing we do is look up to the reward tier metadata table. And we passed in what tier that they're at from the pick list field. And so that matches the label in the metadata. And so we have the variable holding the account tier, and we're just looking up to get the ID of what the tier level is. So we're looking up and say, okay, we have platinum. What is the ID for that record if it's platinum? We'll do a quick decision to make sure that we found one, because maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves and put the bronze tier in before we actually put the records in the custom metadata. So we're going to confirm that we got the reward tier. If not, we're just going to send an email to the admin so we can fix that and add the records back in if needed. But if we successfully got the reward tier, we will do a fast lookup, because now we want to get all of the benefits that are available at that tier. So we'll look up the tier benefit, which is our junction metadata object. We are using the ID that we just got, the reward ID. So it's the platinum ID. And we're going to put that into a collection object because we're going to loop through them. We're going to go ahead and pull in all of the benefits that have been created for that level, regardless if they're turned on or not. So we're just going to grab the wall. We're going to get that status. We'll then go through and loop through that S object collection variable. So this is the one that's holding all of the records. And now we want to loop through and look at a single record. So this is just a collection, an S object variable. So a single tier benefit, we're looking at a single one. And the first thing that we'll do is we're going to grab all of the rewards already assigned to the account. Because people can manually add rewards as well, we don't want to create another record if it already exists. So we need to know what's already been created out there. So we're going to look up our reward object using the account ID that we passed in, and a field in the reward object called reward benefit metadata ID. And that's going to match this ID that we have in our that we pulled out of our collection earlier. We are now going to assign it to a single assigned reward. We're not going to look at all of the assigned rewards at once. We're going to look at the ones that specifically match the one record that is coming out of this loop. So then we're going to get the label of what that reward is. So because we want to know the name, not just the ID, we want to know Silver Astro. That is what is most beneficial to our salespeople when they're looking at it. And then we'll make up our mind, does the reward already exist for the account? We'll go through a decision. So did we get one? Did we not? If a reward does not already exist for that account, we're going to create it, but only if the status is yes. So if we go back to the data table, a platinum tier, the Silver Astro is set to no. So we don't need to create a record for them if there's not already one created for Silver Astro. So we really only want to deal with ones that are set to yes at this point. So if it's yes, we'll continue on. If not, we'll go back to a loop and grab the next record to look through. But if it's yes, we're going to build out the reward record. So we're doing a single reward. We're going to assign the account ID to the one we've passed in to begin with. We're going to assign all of the fields that we need on the reward object here. We're going to set automated change to true, and this helps us out later on to know if we should change it or not, if it's manually set, that type of thing. And then again, we need to have the name of the reward, so we're setting it here, as well as we have the ID, so we can look it up if we need to later. And then after we've built out the single record, we'll add the single reward record to another S-object collection variable called rewards to create. And this will just hold all of the records that we need to create at the end. And so we've looped through all of our records. So we've done that. We'll go back up to our loop. And so again, we're looping through all of the tier benefits, the junction objects that are at platinum level. So we're now going to look at the next one, and we'll go back down through it. And this time we will find out that, hey, this account already has a record for sticker. They were silver before and they're moving to platinum. So it's already set. So we're going to go down this route. And then we're going to make a decision as to whether or not we need to update the reward. So it can be as simple as like, hey, especially if nobody's manually creating records, we can go in and say, hey, is it no right now? And it needs to be yes based on their level. Because of the complexity of them being able to manually turn things on, and we don't want our automation to turn those off. We have a couple decision steps. Some of them almost kind of end up to be the same thing, but it really helps me to have all of the decisions specifically laid out. It just helps me in my thought process while I'm building them out, if I'm troubleshooting it, to not group decisions together. Everybody's different in that regard, but for me, it's really helpful. And then it can also, later on, a change might happen and be like, oh, well, we actually need to do this thing differently for this decision. So you would already have the decision built out. In this example, we're trying to decide if it was manually turned on to yes. So we're looking at the single assigned reward, the one that already exists. We're looking at the tier benefit. So at platinum level is no, and it was manually set. This is our field down here is equal to true. So we make up that decision. We might look at it and decide that it's been set to yes, the record that already exists, but its tier level says it should be no. So in the case of it moving from Silver Astro to Platinum Astro, or Silver to Platinum, and you turn Silver Astro off, then there's a case where they match. They're yes and yes, or no and no, and you don't need to really do any updating. You want to leave it at no, or if you need to update it to yes. Then after we've made the decision, we'll go out and build out the updates that we need to do for each record. They're really similar. Some of them, most of them will just only have like one field that's different. So we'll look at this one. So in the case that we need to update the already existing reward that's assigned to an account, we will, again, build out the single record variable, a subject variable. So we're going to assign the existing ID to it. We're going to set the status to what the tier benefit status is. We're going to say it's automated. We're going to put the name in here for it again. These are all pretty similar. And then after we've built out the single record update, we will add that record to another S-object collection variable. We'll open at some point. Rewards to update. So we're keeping our rewards that we need to create and our rewards to update separate. So we're going to add this single reward record to it, and then we'll go back up to the loop and grab a next record. Or, in case we'll finish it. So after the loop has finished, we will create all of the reward records and rewards to create. And then after that, we'll update all the ones that we need to update. So that's everything that happens behind the scenes when you change the field, and it goes through and loops through all of these records and says, do I need to update you? Yes, no, let me do that. The next flow that I built out, I cannot demonstrate very well since I cannot add the button to my account page. So we'll demo it in debug mode, which I love. And I'm going to need the account ID for this. We have the flow open. We'll hit debug. I'm going to give this account ID. And what it's done is it's gone through all of the reward records that already exist for this account and says, hey, what do we have left to assign? What is either currently at no or just currently doesn't exist? So you go through and be like, well, I want to create both of these or neither of these. And this is what your screen will look like in Classic. It looks really nice. It has a lot of Lightning style to it. There's a Lightning component. You don't have to have Lightning turned on at all. We do not, but we get to use this. We get to use the ones with pictures, and it's really awesome. So we'll choose one reward that we're going to create, and we are required to put notes as to why you're manually creating one. So we'll say that they won the golden hoodie, so therefore they deserve a gold Astro. Click next. It's going to go ahead and create that record or update the existing one over here. So the flow behind that, again, has a bunch of object collection variables and loop in it. I will say that this flow is a little bit more complex than it really needs to be because I have some aspirational goals on the way it works. And I hit a wall when I was working on it. Everybody accepted it as it was, but I didn't want to get rid of all the flow work that I had done. The future improvements is that when you go through it to manually create one, you click the button on the account. If the record already exists and you're just looking to change the value, the setting of it, it won't let you do it within the flow screen. You have to go back and edit the record. And what I want is for the screen to show everything. Maybe it's in two screens. You start off with the ones you want to add and the ones you want to modify. And you go and you do them all within the flow screens instead of doing some here and some there. So I didn't want to cut out and get rid of the work I did on like assigning to collections and stuff because it's something that I will use in the future. And it's not causing a lot of overhead problems right now. So I've just kept them in there. So the flow launches off of a button, and the first thing that we do is a fast lookup. And again, we're going to look up to our metadata table, the reward benefit one. And this is a table that is on one side of the junction table, and it just contains the name of the reward. So we want to say what rewards exist out there: Silver Astro, Gold Astro, Platinum Astro, Cloudy. Get them all, put them into a collection variable called all rewards. We need the ID and we need the label. And then let's loop through them. So we're going to take all the reward records that we got, and we're going to look at one single reward. The next thing we'll do is go through rewards already assigned to the account. It's very similar to what we did in the other flow. We're going to decide is, hey, does the reward exist? And if it does, go down this one path, which really isn't in use, and then go back up to the loop again. If it does not exist, we are going to build out a record to assign to an S-object collection variable. So we're going to build out the unassigned reward. And with that, we need the ID for the record in the metadata table, the reward benefit table. We want the name, and then we're setting the account to null right here. We'll then add that single record to a collection variable called unassigned rewards. So we're going to put all the rewards that are unassigned into the same collection. And we're also going to count up how many are left, how many are unassigned. And once we go through all the records and we collect all the ones that are unassigned, we're going to find out if we have rewards left to assign. So it could happen that they come on and be like, yeah, I'm going to add something else because I want to give them 2 gold Astros, but we don't want to allow them to do that. So we're going to make sure that we have rewards to assign. If not, we're going to give the user a screen that says, hey, there's no more, please exit and leave. But if there are some, we're going to present the screen with the Lightning component, the data table in it. So the screen is basic up top. We got just, hey, please select what it is, some instructions. And this is where all the fun stuff is, the rewards data table. In order to add the Lightning component, you scroll down to the bottom of added fields, and you drag the little lightning bolt over, just like any other field, and you give it a name, and then you go through and you pick which Lightning component you want to use. So with Winter 19, we have some that are included. The data table one is available on the unofficial flow site. It does require a little bit of code modification. It doesn't not much. You basically need to put the object name in there, and then you might want to comment out field. By default, it displays 5 columns. I don't want 5 columns displayed, so I commented out a few lines, so it only displays 1. And then we're going to say, what data do we need to display in that table? And we're displaying the unassigned rewards that we just looped through and put into and built out into the collection variable. We're going to say what field it is that's going to be displayed in that column, the first column. We're going to give it a name, and this is what gets displayed to the user. And then we're just going to say, hey, this is a string, just so you know what you're dealing with. And then the output, because, you know, I went through and I selected which records I wanted to work with. So every record that gets selected is going to go into another collection variable. This one is selected rewards to create. So all the selected rows go in there, and then we can deal with them. So we're going to loop through each one individually because we need to collect notes on every single reward that they want to add. So we'll loop through all of the selected rewards, and we'll look at a single selected reward. We'll throw up a screen that says, hey, please add Y. And here we're going to use the reward type name. So we're going to actually display the name of the record that they're dealing with, because they could select 4 and they might forget by the second screen which one that they're working on. So we'll add that in there. You can pull those out of resource. And we're going to give them a text area to put the notes into. We are then going to look at if we're updating or inserting. We'll go down to insert. line since we're not doing anything with the update. And we'll once again build out another record. And this is going to be a single new reward. So we're going to put in the ID. We're going to put in the account ID that was passed in by the button. They can only turn them on to yes. So it's set to yes here. The notes field in the record is coming straight from the screen where they just entered in the notes. We're going to set it to manually set. We're going to put the reward name in there. Then after we have our single record created, we'll add the single record to our new records collection variable and go back and loop through again. At the end of the loop, we'll create all the records that we need to create, and any records that needed to be updated will be updated as well. So that's the flow behind the button that you cannot see. I really love using the Lightning components. I think they add a lot. There's ones that you can use with pictures as well. They have one out on the AppExchange that's kind of like Tinder where you can swipe left or right. I would say that rebuilding out these flows in my dev org and deciding to use a custom metadata types was a learning experience for me. So like I said, I haven't used them that like a lot, more like just, familiar with them. And I found it interesting that the problems that I ran into, and so when I was creating the record auto creation, you see I had to look up to get the name of the benefit. I had to pull in the label here, and I have to set that, and I have to set that with the ID, like create a metadata ID in the reward table. And so I found that from my actual design for my work project, where I used all tables, that I really missed the relationship between reward and control. So I go back to this. There is a line right here that doesn't actually exist in my dev org because you can't relate a metadata table, because the metadata table, to an object table in this manner. And I needed that. Turns out I really needed to display the reward name in here. I needed that relationship and what comes from that relationship. So I don't have any, it was a great experience and really interesting, but I don't have any plans to convert my work project to custom metadata, just because I don't think it's actually the right option, the right choice in the end. But a lot of times you don't know that until you sit down and play with things, right? Like that's part of learning. Sometimes you gotta figure that out and working through it. So I really enjoyed building this out, rebuilding it and trying it out this way. And I am looking forward to using custom metadata in other flows in other ways. But yeah, it was really interesting and learning experience for me. So that's the end of my demo of how it works and the flows. So I think we can open it up to questions now.
All right, awesome. Great job. So if anyone has any questions, we've got both the Automation Hour Trailblazer community group, and if for whatever reason you can't post a question in there, you also have the questions in the GoToWebinar. So while we're waiting for some questions to come in, could you show the custom metadata and setup and how you would go about kind of the back end of getting that to work?
Yeah. So whether you're in Classic or Lightning, type in custom metadata, and you'll go to a page that contains all the custom metadata that you have. It's interesting in that you manage the records that's right here. So these are each of the metadata tables that I've built out. So this is what I consider my left-hand side of my Junction object. You click on the name, you go into what looks like just, the detail and information on regular object or custom object that you've created. You have your standard fields. You can create custom fields as well. There are things like you can't do like auto numbering on the name like you can with a regular object. You can do validation rules on them, which is really cool. I have a use case where we're using custom metadata with Apex. And when we're creating our metadata records, I need to make sure that we have certain things populated in certain manners at certain times. So a validation rule built out on that, and that's really cool. Here is the tier benefit one. So this is the middle of my junction. And you can see there's metadata relationship types, and these are the ones. So this is looking up to the reward benefit metadata, and this one's working up to the reward tier metadata. And it's just like building out another relationship field. You would select that when you're building it out. And then from this screen are back on the main screen, kind of like custom settings. You click manage records to either create new ones or modify the existing ones. So you can say, you can come in here and set that to no, or you can say, hey, I'm going to create a brand new thing. And we'll choose the tier level. And then, like I said before, you can use them, you can include them in chain sets, which I can't do on my dev org. But they're cool and interesting in that you would add in the metadata type, but then the name of your metadata type, like tier benefits, will appear in the component dropdown. You'll select that to add in your records.
Awesome. So we do have a question around inside of your flow. So this one was from Tamar, and she wanted to know, with the fast lookup inside a loop, won't you run into bulkification or limit issues?
Yeah, I should have given this a warning. Yes, it's not the best design, and I know that. We don't create these records in bulk. They're not ones that we import. We don't change the value on the account field in bulk. We don't do updates that way. They're all manual, singular updates. So it's a risk that we have accepted.
All right. Do you know how custom metadata works with bulkification though? Because I know from it works different from like a custom object with Apex. Do you have any insight into the differences there?
I don't. Do you?
I haven't tested it, so I probably should test it. I don't know if Rakesh or Jen have anything, but I know with like Apex, one of the benefits is it doesn't like count as a query. But I know flow bulkification is different than Apex, so I'm not sure if that counts or not. That's something we could test, but that would also help with the bulkification that you were just kind of talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Got one question about using the mobile app. So how does this work if I was on my phone? Is there any sort of considerations, or does it just not work, or what goes on with the people that are mobile users?
So like with the screen-based one?
Yeah, for screen-based.
Yeah, we're not mobile app users, so I know that you can use it in Safari on your phone if you're an iPhone user. If you don't get redirected to the desktop version, it actually works perfectly fine because I've done it and made a video recording. Yeah. But I assume it works, but not in the mobile. Yeah, I don't know about the mobile app. There we go.
Okay. All right, let's see if we have any other. I'm checking a few different areas to see if we have any other questions that have come through. But really awesome use case.
Well, thank you.
I think we got one coming in. All right, we got a question. How did you get started with learning Flow?
How did I get started learning Flow? So one time I looked at it and I was like, and I kept kind of like, I know this will solve my problem, but it was before Trailhead and having Flow modules out there. I read the documentation honestly, and then looked at Rakesh's website, copied some of the examples that he had built out there, and just kind of took it from there. I took some coding classes in college, which I found beneficial with Flow. Help like understanding what a variable is, and if people out there are struggling a little bit, that is my suggestion with learning Flow, is to go and find a coding 101 that will explain to you what a variable is, on like what a loop is and that type of thing. And I think it helps you understand everything that you're building out better, which then helps you build out flows more. And then, everybody on here knows the three people that run these have lots of awesome resources out there.
Great. We have a question. I think it's probably kind of just a little bit more generic. And it's from Jade. She's asking if there's a campfire or any sort of class for Flow, or like a trailhead for the variables that you're referring to.
There's not really right now. I've talked to Chris Duarte and some other people on the Trailhead team, and they're working on that kind of like coding 101 type thing. They understand why it would be beneficial to people and that they don't have those really out there. But I have no idea on the expected timeline of them.
Yeah, I know that's something that I've kind of heard a lot of people start asking about, similar to like how you can go take the like Intro to Apex certification course. So there's definitely kind of a lot of people starting to ask about it now that there's so much power in Process Builder and Flow and the new Flow designer that's coming out. And we got a question from Barbara around that. So I've got one other thing to just point out before we get into Barbara's question around the new Flow designer, is just once again, Jennifer mentioned it at the beginning. We do have Shannon Hale's session on January 4th, which will be all about the new Flow builder. So she'll walk through it, and it'll be a great session for anybody that's interested in it. There are some people out there with some pre-release of the Flow designer. I don't think anybody that's on this call from the organizer side of the webinar has that. Rakesh might. I didn't hear his answer on that, but Barbara, it's Shannon Hale's session. It's now added to the Automation Hour website, so you should be able to go register for that session. But yeah, so from the new Flow designer, I know Ryan Kwong he posted something on December 5th with his pre-release, and he walked through about an 8-minute video of the Flow Designer, where he was in his pre-release org, and it's really awesome. He brings up some good points of the pros and cons. So if you just search for Brian Kwong, and that's Kwong, you'll see back around December 5th, he posted something on Twitter for that, and it's on his YouTube channel as well, where he's just hands-on with the new Lightning Flow builder that gets released in spring. So I would definitely go check that out. If anyone wants that link, I'll link in the question Brian's tweet if you post a question asking for it, so you don't have to go look. But otherwise, you can just go follow Brian if you're not already and check it out.
Yeah, Rakesh does have a post out about it as well too. I think he has a video with it.
All right. So yeah, I'm not sure if Rakesh's audio is on. I think he had to drop off early. So you can also mention him on Twitter or the Success community, and he might be able to provide some additional feedback too. All right, let me refresh the community group one more time, see if we have any others. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. Stephanie, thank you so much for your presentation today. It was really awesome. And thanks everybody that attended and will be watching virtually for taking time and watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.